Another day in the world of the NBA, and today is going to be another insane one. We got 11 games going today, at least on the DraftKings slate. And I don't know what's going on in FanDuel. We got 11 games. It's a lot of games, an impossible amount of Q tags, an impossible amount to dig into today. We're still going to do what we always do here. We compare my projections, some of the industry leaders out there, like Stokastic, like our friends at Unabated. We're also going to see what the best bets are at Unabated. Of course, check it through here with some of the primary markets. Of course, your points, your rebounds, your assists, your PRAs. If it's on Underdog, if it's on PrizePicks, if it's on DraftKings Sportsbook or FanDuel, you're going to know those best bets today. We're also going to do some DFS sims on Stokastic by the end of this video. You know, my splash plays for the day and all the must plays across this NBA slate for today, March 19th. Actually, my son's birthday, Luca's his third birthday. His first birthday, though, where he's like aware of it. So it's been a big day for us. Was up bright and early this morning to hang out with him, give him a gift that I picked out for him, a transformer that you have to do like 6 different things to make it go from a transformer robot to a transformer truck. So we're doing well here today, but a lot of prep work has gone in today because you have this many Q tags: Nikola Jokic, Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jordan Poole, Jamal Murray, Andrew Wiggins, Christian Brown, missed last game for Denver. Tamani Kamara, Cole Anthony, Gershon Yabusele, Keyshawn George just got ruled out. Kason Wallace, doubtful Jeremy Grant, Kelly Oubre, Cavs status, maybe not playing today on the back-to-back. You also have OKC sitting a few key guys, including SGA, Jalen Williams still out for today. Lou Dort also out. Maybe they rule out some other guys. Maybe they don't. We'll see what they do. That's a lot of stuff hanging over us right now, but we're going to dig in to my projections and prepare for your jaws to drop, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see with this one. All right, with Spags, Kawhi came through last night. You know who Kawhi didn't come through for? People who played Giannis Antetokounmpo at 100%, because as I was swapping around, I had so much ability to get there, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go over the top with Giannis. Saw he's 50% owned and probably needed Kawhi a lot more. In fact, Giannis did not actively help yesterday with only 50 fantasy points. But yes, Kawhi did come through. Shout out to all you guys for saying happy birthday, Luca. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, CJ. I appreciate it. I will tell my child that daddy's friends on the internet think that he's really cool for his 3rd birthday. But let's get into it here today. Of course, my projections, Stokastic projections, the ownership here that they project, and my sim ownership, my top 150 lineups. Some of the stuff is going to require explanation as we go, as we always do here. We got Nikola Jokic, number 1, 12,900 salary. So still a very high peak for him. He's going to play about 38 minutes of the projection set. I'm at 69.6 fantasy points. Today for Denver, the matchup for them, let me check their team total. 117.8 implied points. Matchup versus the Lakers is one certainly where Denver and Lakers going head-to-head playing NBA Finals caliber games. Today, without LeBron out there, the defense, defense probably about a little bit better, I would think. But really in the spot, I don't really know what to expect. Denver seems to be testy towards LA. LA got so much out of beating them a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, that marquee matchup on the weekend that everybody was talking about. For Jokic here, I have no issue going back to him, given the fact that we are going against a situation where he's going to get in Jackson Hayes a good amount against him, getting, I guess, Trey Jemison. I don't forget if he's active or not today. Not that it matters that much. But basically, you're talking about shitty center play for the most part. Koloko, I think, because, he's probably not active. So I would say at this point for me, Jokic, good matchup here, motivation, all that. Price tag still tough to get to, but nobody's going to pay. Nobody's going to want to pay up. 15% ownership here. Again, get 42%, which is a lot. And as I mentioned before, and I think yesterday with the Giannis thing, really hurting some decent lineups I had. I think really trying to be mindful of not going whole hog on the easiest, player to get to the ceiling of. There's been days where I've had a ton of Jokic and it's paid off. Days where they were put up 100 fantasy points, one of the best DFS days I had this year. A few others where he's carried me to top 10 finishes, top 25 finishes, whatever. There's enough days though where he's chalky. Yeah, it's easier to get to because value opens up and you kind of end up holding hands with everybody. You're not getting different. We've seen a lot of times lately, again, including yesterday, where Jimmy Butler, I believe, and Kawhi were in the winning lineup. The 2 guys in the 8 to 9K range, as opposed to paying up all the way for Giannis. You can maybe start to think more about that more. And I think for me, it's one of those things where I'm always like, yeah, this guy projects so well. He projects 10 fantasy points better than everybody else. For Jokic today, that's not exactly the case, but it's pretty close to it. I don't think you need to cram in Jokic, especially if you are having some lineups that look good. Maybe lineups with some chalk that hits early on. You could pivot to other guys, play some cheaper guys, not going all the way down. You're not trying to trade Jokic for a 4K center. But if you trade Jokic and somebody who's cheap for 2 guys who are 8K, that ends up being a good move more often than not. So that's how it looks. Not happy birthday for me, for the record. Happy birthday for my son, but thank you for that. I appreciate it. Here we go. Me trying to get excited for an NBA slate. I don't know how you couldn't be excited. The shittiest time of year. I got Quentin Grimes, the thumbnail, baby. If that's not speaking excitement, I don't know what is. Luka Doncic at number 2, 12.5 salary for him. The other Luka, as many call him, 30% ownership for the field. I'm at 33. Clearly, I could afford these guys today. AJ Johnson, Stokastic Sim is just forcing on me left and right, even though he is going to be a less good play today with Jordan Poole in, with Marcus Smart seemingly in. Those guys, though, played weird minutes. Really, all the vets from Washington played weird minutes last time versus Portland, where I think Middleton and Poole only played 10 minutes in that game. The starters kind of came out early, even though they could have theoretically won it. I don't know what you're expecting in some of these spots for the value today, like AJ Johnson in particular, who's going to be, was on the thumbnail before I changed it off because I'm not sure that he's a good value player, quite as good of a value play now. Point being is that the Sims seem to think there's more than enough value on the slate. So that is what we are looking at here. You're getting Jokic, you're getting Doncic. I'm getting all these guys here, including Karl-Anthony Towns at 9,900. If you're not going to Jokic, not going to Doncic, those are two players there that obviously you're spending all the money, going down a little bit, saving, getting maybe multiples of the guys like we just talked about here. Towns could be one of them. For Towns today, in the same rate boost that he always gets in court time without Brunson, ends up averaging about 1.6 fantasy points per minute. Today we'll be playing at San Antonio, playing Bismack Biyombo, really dog shit centers on the other side. Really for Towns, good matchup on paper. Situation for him where the minutes are capped a little bit more because of Mitchell Robinson being able to play, and they're not playing often together. I mean, I don't think they've played a single minute together so far, at least that I can recall. So for Towns, that's your risk point, but 25% for the field. I'm getting at 29%. Think he's a good play. Crazy to play Luka and Jokic together. It doesn't often work out where like the days that it does work out for that to happen are usually days where the value is not quite as obvious because if there is enough like 3K guys popping up, $3,500 guys, whatever the case may be, people immediately go like, shit, I want to play Jokic and Luka together. That's going to be great. And in reality, that's people's first thought is like, how do I get the two best players in the slate? You're usually better off just taking guys that are a little bit cheaper if you are going to try to do that. But, you know, the ownership's not insane. So, like, you could try it, but, like, I think you have to have something else to make it more unique. No, my Luka does not live on the second floor. I do think of that song often. But he was, in fact, named for Luka Doncic, not the I don't even know who did that song. I should know that. Luka song. Solitude Standing? Is that really the band? I've never heard that band name before, but I know that her name is Luka. She lives on the second floor. Yeah, like I know that song. I did not know that band once. Quentin Grimes. So this is the big debate of the day. I heard the Badge Bros talking about it. Quentin Grimes, funny thing happened this morning when I did my initial projection set. I didn't actually update with everything I pull in from Basketball Reference, which is like per 100 possession numbers, team stats, all that stuff. I kind of was missing actually last game from Quentin Grimes where he went off versus Houston. Would say that, oh, it's Suzanne Vega? Oh, well, fucking Google just led me astray then. But there you go, Suzanne Vega. Still would have known the name. Point being, though, for Quentin Grimes here. So the big thing to me is that, number one, he projected still over 50 fantasy points for me, adjusting his rates to what he's been so far. Court time without Oubre, without Embiid, without Maxey. That's like the main ones here. Without Paul George, obviously putting him on top. But basically, in that amount of court time, I know this is going to be a disagreement with my pal Josh Engelman because I heard him give the opposite take on the strategy show. I think you play Grimes a little. Grimes has averaged 1.5 fantasy points a minute. True shooting for him, 62.5%. He's normally shooting about 61%, so it's not like he's going nuts. For Quentin Grimes, also 36% usage, 23% assist rate, 10% rebound rate. Got there versus Houston with double-double with rebounding. Also is hitting some threes that were absolutely batshit against a tough Houston team. Your issue for Grimes is obviously that you are facing OKC. I will say, though, the big thing for Philadelphia in that last game to me against Houston, and Grimes played at Houston at least for 1 year or two, I think was what they were saying on the broadcast. So, like, maybe it's a Houston Cougar homecoming thing. That's part of why he went absolutely nuts in that spot. Like Philadelphia was competitive with Houston for the first half. Obviously, that game ended up having to go to overtime. Like, they were close throughout that. So I like Philly's a weird team where you watch a game and they don't feel as dead as they should given the lack of talent. And a large part of that's because Quentin Grimes is just good and he's able to take on more usage and keep being similarly efficient. So for me, I got Stokastic giving me no Grimes, like because they haven't projected so lowly here at 34. I think he's closer to a high 40s projection for me, low 50s projection. And if you guys recall the other slate when he went off, I had him for 49, and literally nobody in the tree had him anywhere close to that because they don't like doing the small sample size rate manipulation stuff like I do. I believe in that a lot here, and I think especially when you have teams like people just don't understand. Again, my pal Josh loves Jared Butler, and it's like, yeah, Jared Butler, based upon how he's played his entire career, he should be good in these spots. I would say for in general, though, with what his role is right now in Philadelphia, it's not to get up that many shots. He's only had 19% usage in that same amount of court time that Grimes has had. He's only had about a 28% assist rate, which is not his usual 35%. He's been okay at like a 0.92 fantasy point per minute guy. And then, like, if Grimes fails today, it might be in part because Jared Butler started scoring more. Justin Edwards started scoring more. I guess Hood Schifino, maybe in some universe, could score more. Like, it's possible that, like, that's how Grimes fails, that Philadelphia hangs in the game, but like a bunch of guys score points and Grimes doesn't. But like game to game with what he's shown so far, you shouldn't be out on Quentin Grimes right now at this price tag where he's clearly shown that he could beat the price tag. I don't expect to score 45 real life points. I'm for 30.1 today, which is like already an affront to the prop markets out there. But in my opinion, and this is in my opinion, and hopefully if you guys are here every day, you understand, like, I come by it pretty honestly from doing the work every day. This is your edge. Your edge is like being willing to make some of the plays that, especially, some of the top DFS players don't like to make as much. They're not paying this level of attention to Quentin Grimes. They're absolutely not watching Philadelphia games at this point. So, like, don't play him in every lineup, but get 10% Grimes, get a share of Grimes. I probably wouldn't put him in a high dollar single entry because I just wouldn't have that level of confidence if you were putting your money on the line for it. But like for me, like I'll play him in a couple of the entries I put into the big tournament. I'll play him in probably a third of my entries in the 20 max today. And I'll see what happens because I think you should be playing guys when they're doing a little bit of everything. So that's how I feel about it. Let's see. Check the chat, see if we have any Grimes. I'll look up Halaluka. I did see that from the Ringer guys back in the day. Now they hate the Mavs, unfortunately. Just don't feel like it could succeed at NBA DFS, even with your quality data. It's so hard to score that 400 plus enough. That's the tough part. I mean, that's why you got to be willing to put in what you're willing to lose for the most part. I think a lot of it comes down to really understanding chalk better and all of that. It's not just a projection play, but I get what you're saying. It is also too one of those things where you just kind of have to you have to keep playing. I hate saying that because we all know gambling and all that, but like NBA is tough, but ultimately you try to maximize your edge. And I will say, for me personally, I've had my most success in my in my DFS career and my biggest wins heading into the playoffs, before the playoffs as well, in the shitty time of year. So I think it's important. And yes, picking your contests is too important too. Like if you don't want to burn money, do the quarter. Like just do that every day and try to be the king of the quarter till you win enough money off the quarter to then move up to the dollar. And then you become king of the dollar tournament, move up to the $5, whatever the case may be. So like try to be mindful of the bankroll stuff. Some of the sharpest players have had that success before. If you're like me and you want to play for entertainment, you want to play to give yourself a sweat every night as best you can, then you got to be willing to burn the money is how I feel about it. Cade Cunningham, not looking too great to me. Not as cheap as Quentin Grimes, so a little bit lower projected for me, which does feel insane when you look at it. But that said, for Cade, he's playing well enough. Detroit's team total today, 111.5 going into Miami. Cade doesn't seem like the biggest partier in the world. I feel like he'll go to the club, but he's not going to go out and go too crazy. For Cade, though, not a terrible projection, not a great one, but barely going to be played today. So if they keep that game close for Miami, and Miami's hanging in games, even though they're not winning a lot of them lately, Cade could be viable, but right now he's one of those guys not very highly owned. It does kind of fit that criteria. If you're not paying up all the way, you pay for a Cade, a Grimes, a Şengün, whatever the case may be. Towns is a little bit chalkier. That's your way to get different from the high dollar chalk that's going to maybe congregate if value is there today, as we're expecting it to be. Alperen Şengün, bad time last time out for him versus Philadelphia. Was a great matchup for him, but they had too many small guys. Didn't have a Dembona. There wasn't a big man that needed to keep Şengün on the court. And as a result, Houston went small, played Jabari Smith a ton of time in that game. He had one of his best fantasy games and real life games in his career. Hit some threes, was shooting better than I've ever seen him shoot in his life. That's now a threat again for Şengün. That was an issue for Şengün in previous years, especially before Jabari Smith was like fully bad in earlier parts of the season. If he loses minutes at the 5 to Jabari Smith based on the matchup, it's not a good thing. This particular spot for Houston today, where you're talking about going into Orlando, you expect Şengün to play the entire game, so I would have less concern for it because obviously Orlando has multiple bigs we're going to throw out there. But for certain matchups, Şengün is out at risk now to get benched. So just something to keep in mind. He's not a great play today, so he won't be a priority for me, but I'm getting in about 3% of my lineups. Josh Hart getting even 27% here. Again, getting the boost today because of not having Brunson in, which is always going to be the case when he is out. New York playing at San Antonio, not a bad 118 implied points for them. So Towns looks good. Hart looks good. And Hart's obviously put up outlandish points lately in fantasy. Devin Booker, not there so much. He's expensive. You got everybody here, guys. You got like all these guys in the slate that are this highly priced. And we'll get to some of the value plays right now. It's a big slate, so hopefully we'll make good time on the game by game as well. But guys, you're tuning in right now. If you get value of this video, please do subscribe down below. Please do hit the like button. Of course, I am here Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. doing the best I can to give you my takes on NBA. Some days I get shit very right that nobody else in the world does. It makes me feel good. Some days I get shit wrong and it ruins my lineups. And in that respect, I'm a lot like you guys out there, but I do all the work I can to be prepared here every day. So please do click subscribe. Please hit the like button. It goes a long way for me here as I try to fight that YouTube algorithm as just one man here fighting to create NBA content every day. I'm literally fighting. I have to beat up my own laptop every day. It's a terrible pain point. So Tex likes Booker. All right, fair enough. And possible to have success playing the small fee contest. You just have to keep grinding. Even though DFS game is skill, there's still an amount of risk involved. Yeah, that's the part that I think is tough. And I think the expectations after the industry are more important. But like, you really just have to be willing to like put the money in every day. And like for the most part, unless you're playing super conservatively, which you shouldn't be doing, you're trying to take first in a tournament. You got to be willing to give it back in a given day. There's some days you lose it all. Like yesterday, I probably gave away, I would say 80% of what I put in last night. But like, that's what happens when you just don't get it right. When you play 100% Giannis, you didn't have to. Things like that can happen. Derek White as well. I had to shitload up. It was not one of my favorite slates. We got Kenrich Williams here at number 1. So Kenrich Williams getting some minutes go around for Thunder today. You have no Shea, as we talked about, no Dort, also no Jalen Williams, but he's been out for a little bit and going to be out for a little bit more. That said, for Kenrich Williams, not a play I'm like the most confident. He's 3,200 though. Not a lot of great $3,200 plays. So for Kenrich Williams, 65% of me in the top 150, Fields at 49%. I would hope that better chalk opens up, but there's never a guarantee that's going to be the case. At number 2, you got Colin Gillespie. So Colin Gillespie started last game. Minutes got jerked around after that. Let me see if I could pull up his minutes real fast, because I thought he looked like a good play. Gillespie has actually been producing fairly well per minute. He did start with Beal out last game, but he played the first, didn't come back into the second quarter. So that was what I remember. I didn't play him a lot because I didn't have any flexibility at that point. They came back in second half rather, didn't do very much with it. He basically lost all of his usage to that first group. I would think if he starts again, he can't play as unaggressively as he did here, where you could see he took a couple shots, made one, missed 2, got a rebound, got an assist, didn't do a whole lot. And that was a bad situation too for him to not play well, because Kevin Durant also barely did anything in that game, was god awful. He killed some of my teams that night. Was not a big fan of Kevin Durant in that day, but also like if it's a day where Durant doesn't play well, like Gillespie starting should maybe scoop up a little bit there, score some more, but he didn't really do it. So I would have concerns about Gillespie's minutes, but I do think he is viable as a value if he does pick up that surprise start today at that $3,100 salary. Aaron Wiggins. So Aaron Wiggins, if you guys remember from a couple weeks ago when the Thunder had everybody out, I believe, versus Portland, Wiggins is the guy I was like, you got to just lock him. I mean, with how he plays with SGA out, with Jalen Williams out. A little bit different today because you do have Holmgren expected to play. You have Hartenstein expected to play. So not the same situation that we had the last time that Wiggins was kind of able to do everything, but still in court time without SGA, without Jalen Williams. I kept Dort on just to keep the sample size a little more viable here. 410 possessions for Wiggins. He's had 1.1 fantasy points a minute, 27% usage, 18% assist rate, rebounds a little bit as well. I think Wiggins is still a very live play today. I would say, to me, if you're building a kind of core of guys you want in every lineup, I would prefer him over Kenrich Williams, even though the value metrics are not even close, with Kenrich Williams at 3,200 and Wiggins at 51. But I'm getting him at 63% of my top 150 lineups. Fields at 28. So Wiggins, to me, he'll be in most of my lineups today. I think is sort of that mid-tier pay-up option that I think can give me 40 on the slate, or I hope he can. A little bit of one thing I know the Badge Bros is talking about, though, which I will talk about because I don't think it matters, but Thunder do technically get the Sixers pick if they finish outside the top 6. The Sixers don't give up their pick if they finish in the top 6. So that's one of those things for Wiggins here where maybe he gets less minutes if he's too good. Like if they really want to be about maximizing their own pick value, but Philadelphia at this point, I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine the Thunder doing that with the amount of draft picks they have, but it's something that if you want to vocalize those concerns out loud, I would get it. I just wouldn't personally worry about it. Kason Wallace, I believe, is a Q tag on him, but I'm getting in 54% of my lineups. Fields at 24, and Thunder, just so much production left behind and having SGA out there. A Wallace in court time without those guys, averaging just 0.8 fantasy points per minute, but if he does play 30-plus minutes here, he's going to be a good play. So Kason Wallace, not my favorite DFS play ever, but on this slate, I get why I'm getting it. Jake LaRavia come up as value for me, not really getting into lineups very much, but that's it. AJ Johnson, So AJ Johnson's 78% for the field. I'm at 67 right now. I think it comes down a little bit because having Poole and Smart in and just the minutes getting weird. Though he played 30 plus last game. Weird situation for Washington where the starters got their minutes really clipped in a way that just honestly didn't even make sense. AJ Johnson, not as good of a producer in Washington so far. If he was going to be mega chalk, I was going to try to move away from it more. If I get him in a third of my lineups, even half my lineups, if no better value materializes, I guess I wouldn't be mad about it. The Washington game starts at what time? 9 p.m. So I think no matter what, keeping AJ Johnson in your lineups and try to keep flexibility heading into the 9 o'clock game, Washington, Utah. You also have 4 10 o'clock games with Memphis, Portland, Cleveland, Sacramento. Cleveland could bench some guys. Denver, Lakers. We have a lot of Q tags in that game. Chicago, Phoenix. Who knows on that point? But I would say that at this point for AJ Johnson, not a great play. He's really been a better player overall this season than he's been on Washington specifically, where he just hasn't done a whole lot. And in the smaller groups, he's done even less. But he's still okay. Just not really sure that he should be mega chalk if somehow Stokastic keeps him as mega chalk. Like they gave me him in 67% of my sim lineups with my projection here. My projection is pretty low at 23, and he still came in a bunch. Isaiah Hartenstein, so big stand on him here as well. 61% sim ownership for me, 29% for the field. Hartenstein has been producing incredibly well without the key Thunder guys out there. So that was something that stood out very big to me. And as we talk about here, I do believe that these small sample size things, if you can kind of trust it enough and make it work for you, that could be your edge. So Hartenstein's averaged 1.5 fantasy points a minute in court time without just SGA and Jalen Williams. It doesn't include Dort. The issue, it's only been about 123 possessions. So we normally want to see a 550 or so to feel confident in that rate and where it's going to be. For Hartenstein here, I think he's worth taking shots at. 29% for the field feels like more than enough to me. My initial read on the rates is that he should, on paper, be a better play than Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren's average only 1.12 fantasy points a minute without SGA and without Jalen Williams out there. But I do think at this point, I like Hartenstein. I don't know that I want to be this exposed to Hartenstein, especially given what we talked about the Thunder and what their motivations are in this game. But I think he's worth your exposure at 6,400, and he projects really well to me. The permanent numbers also just look good. And frankly, if Grimes busts, if the other Philadelphia guys don't get there, probably Hartenstein cleaned up on the glass, got a lot out there. Stokastic is projecting Poole out still, but I updated to put Poole in because he's available to play. So you're getting my read on that now in the data. So you're getting that. I did not get Keyshawn George out there before the show, unfortunately. Can Elon Musk or somebody put? I don't want Elon Musk. I don't know what your beliefs are, guys. I don't want Elon Musk running anything else. I think we're good with what we got right now. More than good, some could say. Other values here. Jaime Jaquez started last game, went nuts relatively to a 4K price tag. He could start again. He could be good again. The matchup there versus Detroit. Detroit, pretty tough matchup. Definitely a little bit tougher than league average. Scottie Pippen Jr., Q tag on him. He'll look okay with Ja Morant out. Jeremy Sohan, value here. This has been a fucking long first segment, guys. I normally will go game by game at a lot of length, but we've had to spend a lot of time talking about the stuff, and I probably talked too much about Quentin Grimes, but he's on the thumbnail. Look at that face. How could you refuse him? We're going to go game by game as fast as I can, though. We're going to get to Unabated in a moment. I'm going to scan through here and really just brief talking points. Dallas getting nobody here versus Indiana and their 122.3 implied points. With all these guys in, it's now mispriced. It's now nobody has got enough usage and opportunity to get where they need to go. I would not play a Maverick today. First game on the slate as well. None of that looking good. Oh, yeah, for the AJ projection, that's fair. That's fair. I'm not saying their projection's wrong, but it's more that the sim still forced me to get him a bunch, even though I lowered my projection. And I saw that it took my projection as being lower, and they still think that at 3,500, he makes lineups work, putting up 22 fantasy points. But the way that I view players, and it's been something that's been helpful for me, and maybe it'll help you guys, when you account for guys' standard deviations and whether you should be maxing a guy out, putting him in every lineup or close to it, my general rule of thumb, and it's just kind of a quick eye test thing, if the projection is, something where if he had 10 less fantasy points, would that guy kill you on a slate? Then you shouldn't be playing him in everywhere. AJ Johnson, you gave him 10 less fantasy points for me. You're talking about 13 fantasy points. So I don't think you play that guy as much as they're giving you, no matter what he does for your lineups. But obviously, that would be different if you're projecting for 30, because then it's if he gives you 20, he's not going to really kill you. Still probably got you a 6x value. I think Brian and I are on the same page, though. News God posted 20 minutes ago that Poole and Smarter. And News God got it. Good. I'm glad my guy Ron got it. Yeah, I know that they're both in. They're available to play. When they got upgraded to questionable, it was pretty likely they were going to play at that point. Indiana got nothing here. We could skip through it. Halliburton, I don't know. Somebody would have to be out for me to want to get here. Matchup versus Dallas, certainly playable. Home game for Halliburton. He won't be played very much at 11%. You want to get with him. I think that's fair. Everybody else, I probably wouldn't want to play too much today. Houston, I got nothing here. I think, again, mentioned the Şengün, Jabari Smith thing. So Şengün losing minutes to Jabari Smith, not a good thing. But versus Orlando, you're probably getting a full run of Şengün minutes as long as it didn't get into foul trouble. So I think Şengün from that level, an interesting tournament option. But give that flexibility up on the slate when you have that many Q tags. Never the thing you really want to do too much. Yeah, I mean, sometimes they don't update. I think, candidly, I will say, and I would say this to anybody, if you're selling underdog projections, you should be updating the entire day. Like, I feel that pretty strongly. Obviously, with Stokastic updates, it makes my life easier as well because I don't have to fuck with minutes myself too much. But I would say, like, I don't know. I think that's one benefit to me. If you are an underdog battle royale player, I update my shit all day long, and I do try to make sure if things will get updated by somebody else that I just hop in and do it myself for these shows. So I don't know, follow your heart, but I think that's one thing. I wish they would do that for the people that are paying for that product, whatever amount of people are paying for it. But, otherwise, I get it for a DFS slate why you would wait until you have more news and can kind of knock it off in one burst. So there's trade-offs. Orlando, 103.3 implied points on their side. Nothing really here. Franz Wagner, Banchero, so expensive now. Franz Banchero, to me, remain functionally the same place at this point. I'd say at this point for these guys, I don't know. I really don't love anything on Orlando. I'm wasting too much time already talking about it. Detroit, Miami, not great totals here. I do think a competitive game, though. You could see Cade Cunningham be good. Jalen Duren probably going to have a tough time versus Bam Adebayo, but the $6,800 price tag does look pretty good to me, more than a 5x value. Beasley, okay, mid-tier value here. Maybe you can get hot versus Miami. But Miami does play quality enough defense. Detroit plays quality enough defense. Total's not high here. You're not expecting a lot. But, sometimes that's what wins you a slate. So I'll highlight that as just kind of the point. But really, these guys don't project well enough. Cade, not going to be too high owned, though. But frankly, you have enough high dollar guys, enough 9 to 10K guys that aren't going to be too highly owned that I don't know that Cade is that special. All right. We got, I'm not trying to start problems with our Elon fans out there, but John, I think your take sums up my feelings pretty well. But whatever. What the fucking, who cares at this point? Burn it all down. Miami, 106.5 implied points here. Getting Jaime Jaquez, assuming he starts, I think he's an okay play. If he doesn't start, I would probably walk that back immediately. Jaquez, too, could get his minutes struck around very easily in any given game. But at this point, if he does play the minutes again, he does contribute in every category. He looks okay. Everybody else here, Wiggins, 5% for me. Really no big stands. A lot of these games, you just get no players at all. Philadelphia, we talked a lot about Quentin Grimes. If you want to scroll back, you can hear all my takes on that. I think he's in play today. Stokastic does not, so I barely got him in my sim. Only 2% on lineups. Field's at 0.1%. The field will actually play Grimes, I think, closer to 3 to 5%. To me, I'll probably be closer to 25 to 33% because this is my guy. I've called him right more than anybody else in the world has, and he looks good again to me today. So what the fuck are we going to do? Jared Butler, the usage goes so up. He's averaging 1.5 fan sports per minute. If you want the elevator pitch, averages 1.5 fan sports per minute in court time without Embiid, without Paul George, without Maxey, without Oubre. All your key guys, he just basically becomes a guy. And if you watch a Philadelphia game, he's just running around trying to get the ball from anybody who has it. It's bullshit basketball, but he's good. Like, Grimes is good. Grimes is going to get himself paid. So paid. He's a restricted free agent. Going to get so fucking paid. The thing is, he's not hooping like LeBron because, he's just shooting the lights out. He's shooting the lights out, but in a sustainable way where, he's still at 62.5% true shooting, but rebounding more. If he could start to get to, be a better assist guy, because he's not on paper a bad one, but if he can start to get to, 6, 7 assists and still put up the 7, 8 rebounds, you are talking about a little mini LeBron, but he's making a rise, I would say. Yes, and I agree with that too. The Knicks should have kept Grimes, but, they kept McBride. They made their choice. Yes, so Philly to me, Grimes or nothing. If you don't play Grimes, I would really start to consider these other guys more because Grimes to me is cornering this offense so much that for him to not do that would mean other guys probably getting some more shots up, doing something. Butler is going to be apparently a chalky play. He's just not the same guy on Philadelphia right now. They don't want to use him that way. He'll get up some threes, but he's not a focal point of the offense like our boy Grimes is. OKC, I've got everybody. I've got everybody here. You can see it. It's impossible to not get a lot of these guys. I really wish that Holmgren and Hartenstein were out so we could kind of get a little more of a concrete feeling for this team. But as it is right now, I am low on Holmgren, high on Hartenstein. High on Wiggins, getting 60% of both those guys, only 21% of Wiggins, of Holmgren. Isaiah Joe with the Fields, 20%. Casey Wallace getting in 50. Kendrick Williams getting in 65% here. Because you're missing SGA and Jalen Williams and Lou Dort, frankly, so many minutes to go around, so many shots to go around, and frankly, not a big enough sample size for any of these guys without those two players because at least one of them has played for most of the year. So OKC with that total here and the match versus Philly, take your shots at whoever. I personally, based on what I know of basketball and like what this guy does, Wiggins to me is your guy. But Kendrick Williams contributes in every category. Kason Wallace, I feel less so. He can score. He can hit some threes. Everybody in the Thunder can hit some threes. Hardstein and Holmgren, I worry about the minutes, but they should be able to do whatever they want out there. So you have to play Thunder. Just have to play Thunder. Everybody's saying Garland out. I will say Ryan got it first. Credit to Ryan here. Appreciate all you guys chiming in with that, but we'll see how that goes. Obviously, the immediate thought, boost to Ty Jerome, boost to Donovan Mitchell for sure. And as a result, really, everybody else looks better, but I would be surprised if Garland was the only guy to get ruled out, given that Mobley was a Q tag yesterday. Sip a Diet Coke, guys. I need some caffeine. New Orleans, 107.5 implied points on their side. Minnesota, 120.5. I got nothing here. Skim through it. Nothing above 3% besides Anthony Edwards. You get to Anthony Edwards on any slate. You guys know that. But really, New Orleans, despite losing Trey Murphy out for the year with a torn labrum, nothing looks that good. The match versus Minnesota, not a good one. Total, not that good. I don't know. Zion in any given slate could go off. McCollum, to me, was a bigger rate winner of not having Trey Murphy out there, along with no DeJounte Murray, no McCollum, but really nothing stands out. Grimes probably made himself 50 to 80 million in the past month. Yeah, because they wanted to get, Philadelphia wanted to get him for cheap, I think. And that was part of why they traded for him. Dallas didn't want to pay him whatever he thought he was worth. And now it's he's not worth Paul George money, but if he keeps playing well for another week as the primary scorer against legit teams, I don't know how long they could play him for because he probably made himself enough money at this point. But I think you're probably getting another week of just going nuts. Yeah, Flagler, I would say from the Thunder, not in play. I mean, if we want to go through Thunder guys, Flagler not in play. Dylan Jones not really in play unless you get a big out. Alex Dukas, he's not really one of the guards they want to go to. I would say those three, not very much there. Jalen Williams, I also probably wouldn't trust too much, but there's a chance I guess he can get run if they pull the bigs early. I wouldn't lock that down or anything. New York here, we talked about Towns, Josh Hart, more than 25% of those guys. Miles McBride, and about 10% of my lineups. Not a big stand here, but it's a good total for the Knicks. San Antonio at this point, playing for nothing, not playing terribly well. Technically a pace up for the Knicks as well, so that's that. San Antonio, you got no Fox, obviously, the rest of the year. Nobody here gains that much from it. You get a bunch of guys that end up being around 1 fantasy point per minute. Vassell, playable, but I got him at 5%. Fields at 9. Keldon Johnson, Fields at 9. I got 15. Sohan getting 14. Really not big stands here. If there's better value that opens up, I'd rather not get those guys. Washington, I think we just got to throw out here because I don't have Stokastic ownership, and the A.J. Johnson thing is what it is. I don't think A.J. Johnson's great value. He did play 30-plus minutes last game, though. He's just not a fantastic producer, only 0.79 fantasy points per minute on the year. He is a decent usage guy and a decent assist rate guy, so it should get better, but where it is right now, A.J. Johnson, to me, if you're getting Poole in, I just don't think he's good of a value play. It looked like he was going to be this morning to the point that I put him on the thumbnail of the first version that I had up. Utah, nobody here. Walker Kessler was supposed to be out. He's back in. Marketer was supposed to play. He's out. John Collins also out here. Not a bad total for Utah, but kind of a crowded rotation. I would say Kessler, the most appealing to me, controlling the boards a lot more with Collins and Marketing off the court. Becomes about a 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy, accounting for the matchup versus Washington. I had him at 1.4 today. And yes, Keyshawn George is out as well, but again, I didn't update before the show. Still think that makes A.J. Johnson a great play, though, to me. I just the way that Washington did those minutes last game. I don't know what I would trust, but I do know that for me, the guy who gains the most from the Washington players who are left who have usage, who's not playing, is Champagnie. Champagnie starts to put up 1.25 fantasy points per minute or something because he just does everything out there. I just don't think A.J. Johnson's your winner no matter what. But Champagnie's minutes also got jerked around last game too. So Washington is just a team I would have a hard time trusting with these guys coming back in today. Utah, though, Kessler, good. That's basically it. Memphis, you got no Morant, but nobody here stands out. Q-tag on Scottie Pippen. If he doesn't play, Luke Kennard didn't play again at 4,700. Bane, certainly the ceiling is there. Jaren Jackson's ceiling is there. Good total versus Portland, but not a lot to love based on the projections besides Pippen if he does go at 4,800. Portland, Denny Avdia, you got no Jeremy Grant, no Ayton still. So Avdia getting a little bit of a boost from that. 7,300 in play. Ceiling is there sometimes, but the projection, not awful. Besides that, and he's a 20% play for me right now. Fields at 17%. Klingon getting a lot of run here, but last game, Duop Reith played pretty well in relief of him. Minutes are there for Klingon. At a certain point, he could spike an upside. Versus Memphis, I'm not sure you expect it, but I don't know. Maybe he beats up Zach Edey a little, Brandon Clark a little. It's possible. So Klingon, people probably won't play him today after he was kind of chalky last time out. Maybe kind of a Klingon spot because you're going to have bigs out there, and he's playing good minutes. So I don't know. Maybe you get some blocks. 1.1 fantasy points a minute for Klingon. I could do that at 5,800. Cleveland, we talked about Garland being out. Shouts to the chat for giving me that in copious amounts, but I do appreciate all you guys updating me on that one. So Garland being out with that total versus Sacramento, I mean, they're going to probably lose a point or something, but 120.8 implied points. Mitchell will look better, but I don't even know at 8,900 if he's going to look like a good play, assuming that he does play. Mobley kind of expensive as well, 8,700. Jared Allen needs Mobley to be out to really take a leap up. Ty Jerome at 4,500, I think, is your one that becomes the beneficiary here from just getting that extra guard minutes to go around. It is certainly possible they don't have to play Ty Jerome in the crunch. Like if he gets killed on defense by the Kings, they might put Hunter out there, something like that, or, Hunter Strus, like something that doesn't require the second guard being out there too much. But, I think Ty Jerome and projections will make the boost here. 4,500, I imagine I'll be playing some Ty Jerome. Nothing else, though, I imagine will look that good. Mitchell closer to playable, though, for sure, if he does play. Sacramento, I got nothing here. These guys just don't look that great with Sabonis out and Fox off the court for the guys who were on the team when that mattered. Laravia as a value, getting him as a 6.6x value, but the minute's not really secure at 23.8. Again, if he's 3,300, he puts up 12 fantasy points for you. He absolutely does kill you, so he's not like some great value, but he's playable and probably one of the better numeric values on the slate. Denver and Lakers, Jokic looks good to me. But you got a lot of Q tags here. Whoever's playing for the Nuggets, assuming you get a couple people out, I think would look good. If everybody's going, though, like if Murray goes, Westbrook, I don't think he can play at 7K. If Murray and Jokic end up being out somehow, you cram Westbrook in as hard as you can. That's what I did the other night. Paid off really well. Crammed in him and Aaron Gordon. So Denver, watch out for this one. I assume these guys go because the game seems to matter for both sides. But if they do go, I would play Jokic because the Lakers, I don't know what the fuck they're going to do to stop Jokic. Lakers on their side, Luka Doncic, 30% for the field. I'm at 33. Nothing else, though. Austin Reeves, I've taken the ride with. With how much ownership is going Luka's way, maybe you play some Reeves if you really want to get cute in a lineup here that's doing well and you're swapping last minute. But overall for the Lakers, not a lot to love on their side besides Luka. And it's just our last game, thank God. Chicago, 115 implied points. I got nothing on Chicago. Giddey being back in throws it all off enough. Giddey himself doesn't project well enough. He's also going to play today. Going to sit in the back half of the back-to-back. But Josh Giddey, not really a great option here, even though I could see him hitting. 8,500, not a bad price tag for him. Projection's not great, but Giddey is like a low-owned play here. If you pivoted off of Luka last minute because you're going to be in a grouping of guys that have similar lineups that are playing Luka, I could see playing Giddey in that spot and trying to hit the ceiling. Phoenix, same thing for Booker and Durant. Obviously a soft matchup for Chicago. Both guys, though, not really projecting terribly well. Just shy of that 5x mark, so that probably makes some slightly better tournament plays based on my projections. 12% ownership for both of them, basically. I'm at 9%, 8%. So Phoenix looking okay. And Colin Gillespie, if he starts, I think he can take the shot and just hope that he plays well enough to stay in the court. He really did nothing out there, and he's been productive on the year with 1.01 fantasy points per minute. Decent usage, decent assist rate, 58% true shooting. Gillespie's been quietly not a bad player. I do think he's more of like a April, nobody in the Suns are playing. Gillespie goes nuts and puts up 50 kind of player, but at 3,100, slate with no value. If he does start, he could be a guy. And frankly, if he doesn't start, he might be more of a guy in terms of his per minute numbers. But that's the game-by-game look, guys. You know what that means? It's time to go to the world of Unabated. So let's learn about their data right now, thanks to this special video with steel drums that our pals in the chat are going to go nuts for. Data every day, so make sure to get in here good, getting good with Unabated itself. Of course, their data going all the year, though, going through the playoffs and all that. Dynamic projections, guys are questionable. You're going to see different projection sets based on whether they were going to play or whether they're going to sit. You can see all the betting markets you need to adjust to quickly. Real-time news, you have to go on Elon's DFS site or his Twitter if you don't want to. You go get your news on Unabated, and it's probably faster than Twitter is, I think, based on some of the timings that we've seen. Of course, the graphs are going to be there. People love graphs. You know why? They're beautiful. Just like me. On a Discord, expert game day live streams that they do as well. Often compete with me, but you can watch them if you want. You'll be counting your money, chatting sexily to their AI bots. Of course, this would be your graph here showing you the results from Unabated's data since the beginning of the year. It was updated as of the 10th year in March, and you can see you'd be up over $50,000 placing every bet 30 minutes before tip-off, 5% or higher ROI. Obviously, you're not going to place all those bets necessarily, but that's really showing you here what you're getting by using this data effectively and at volume. One of the most important things for using betting data, whether it is an Unabated, whether it's using some other products out there, using market stuff, really most important thing is getting that volume down, being able to get volume down that you feel comfortable with as well. But if you're putting down $100 units, you've got 50 grand using their data. So keep that in mind. Of course, good deals going, including the 20% off on everything you get by clicking down below and using that link in the description to get over to Unabated and show them that I love them. What is this props 2.0? They didn't tell me about a new props page. Probably told the Badge Bros about it. And so, what is this prop? I'm putting props 2.0 in another tab. I'm going to see what we get. The props 2.0 as well. But let's run this sim here for now. Maybe props 2.0 not ready to go. Who knows? We're going to see our points bets first here. And of course, conditional projections. We're going to be omitting all the Q-tag players and their teams because we don't want to talk about the various machinations they're in the NBA. Let's see what we get with these sim ROIs here. Hopefully, there we go. It's props there. Here's props 2.0. So again, projections, best line. Oh, it's much neater here, much smaller. That's nice. Can't do a sim though. You gotta get the sim in here. Once I get the sim in here, I could see liking this page more because it's a little bit cleaner and easier to kind of get through. But I need to see that sim, baby. That sim is where all the money is. As you guys know. All right, here's all of our bets. Make sure we're scrolling down to get them all in. Little unabated pro tip here. I just saw an 82% ROI. That's going to be, I'm curious to see what that is. Okay, Alex Sarr. Ooh. Alex Sarr, under 32.5 PRAs. This is a weird one. So it looks like Underdog is pricing this one for Alex Sarr to play all of his minutes to be good. And this actually, no, this is points. This must just be an incorrect line. So they might have meant to do PRAs and they did points. I'm like, 32.5 PRAs. That makes sense. No, they're doing points. So if you can get Alex Sarr under 32.5 points, you should take that right now. That's an incorrect line by Underdog. So put that in immediately. Kyle Filipowski under 22.5 points. Looks like the same error here. It's possible this is an unabated data error, but it's not happening for everybody. So I would check Filipowski and Sarr immediately. It's possible they pushed some incorrect lines for Alex Sarr and Kyle Filipowski on the unders because you'll never see an EV of this high. Like 75% needs an error on the provider. So check those two like ASAP right now. Stokastic is updated. Good. So we'll check it out for the sim. Thanks for the heads up, Larry. We got Fred VanVleet here. 21.5% ROI for him on FanDuel. Under 13.5 points is the line. Minus 118 odds on FanDuel it is. Still looks good on DraftKings. Still looks good on PrizePicks. This is the one. Underdog is like, no, we're going to give you really silly lines for Alex Sarr and Filipowski. We're going to take it fucking dead serious for Fred VanVleet. So take the under for VanVleet on PrizePicks, DraftKings, and FanDuel. Ignore the lower on our friends at Underdog. Anthony Black, and yes, they are our friends, guys. Hopefully some good news coming for the NFL channel in a few days. Anthony Black, 19.9% points, or 19.9%, excuse me, EV on under 7.5 points for him on PrizePicks. Playable on FanDuel as well, where the line is under 6.5 points, minus 102 odds, but 20% EV for Anthony Black if you're playing on PrizePicks today. Corey Joseph, 18% EV on under 5.5 points, minus 104 odds on FanDuel. That's the only place you could take it. So Corey Joseph, you could still get it on FanDuel. A very high EV of under 5.5 points for him on FanDuel at minus 104 odds. Montas Buzelis, 14.8% EV on Underdog. Their line is off by a point compared to the rest of these. So let's see for Montas Buzelis. That's the only place you want to play. It would be Underdog, the lower on 11.5 points. Yeah, please let me know, John. And please use promo code SPLASH if you've not. If you have not. I'm not. Actually, I don't know if it works or not, but use promo code SPLASH anyway. Get $1,000 in bonus cash. Santi Aldama, 13.4% EV for him, under 11.5 points. Minus 115 odds on DraftKings, your best bet right now. Good to go on PrizePicks as well, where it's 12% EV for Santi Aldama, under 11.5 points. Rebounds up next. Oh, man, I got to speed up. Ton of Tristan Vukcevic or Nikola? Because I would not play Nikola right now, personally. He is just not good when the traditional point guards are not in, and that has been the case for a large enough sample size now that I think it is not. I mean, I've been right about that a lot. Granted, he shot like shit last game. Nikola Vucevic, I don't know what's going on with him, man. But I don't think the lack of point guards is good for him. Okay, so Tristan, yes. Tristan we like, but I don't know if I would like Tristan today. Because if you have Sarr and Holmes in, usually you don't play Vucevic. Gabe Vincent, under 1.5 rebounds, looking good on PrizePicks, 28% EV. You probably don't want anywhere else, though, because it's not available. So Gabe Vincent, under 1.5 rebounds, good to go on PrizePicks, so 28% EV. Kevin Huerter, under 3.5 rebounds, looking good on DraftKings. Looking passable on PrizePicks as well. The EV on DraftKings is higher, 16.2% EV, but good on PrizePicks as well, under 3.5 rebounds. Kevin Huerter, that is. Bruce Brown, under 3.5 rebounds, looking good on PrizePicks at 14.8% EV. Playable on DraftKings as well at an 8.1% EV, and not available anywhere else for Bruce Brown, under 3.5 rebounds. Jackson Hayes, over 6 rebounds, 9% EV for him on PrizePicks. Playable 5% EV on DraftKings as well, over 6.5 rebounds on there for Jackson Hayes, who does play a lot better for having just Luke out there for what it's worth. We got Jabari Smith playing some center. Take the over 6.5 rebounds for him on plus 120 odds on DraftKings Sportsbook. That gets you 8.9% EV. Bettable as well on PrizePicks for Jabari Smith, over 6 rebounds on there. Not as good of an EV as some of the other ones that we've seen so far for PrizePicks, but I think if you need another card, Jabari Smith could be added onto it. Franz Wagner, over 5 rebounds, 8.7% EV on PrizePicks. Not so good anywhere else. And Oso Ighodaro, playing some backup center today. I don't know. Plumlee's out, whatever. Under 6 rebounds for him. He'll play the minutes, but he's not very good. Ighodaro, under 6 rebounds, 8.1% EV. Bettable on DraftKings. And basically bettable on FanDuel as well, where it's under 5.5 rebounds. Assists coming up next. Send these out. Subscribe here, a place where there's no porn hacking. That's true. Nobody's hacked my accounts. Nobody has access to my stuff. I was a little worried they're going to blame me for that somehow. Because I have access to the playback thing, but not enough to start a stream of 2 guys, whatever they were doing with their dicks. So, I didn't see it myself, but I'm curious to make fun of Josh for it today. I'll tell you what. All right, let's scroll back up here. Make sure we got all of our bets in. Let's resort this. There we go. Okay, Isaiah Collier, under 12.5 assists on Underdog. So this can't be an error, or at least it can't be an overall error. It seems like they might have mispriced some things here across a couple categories. Isaiah Collier, 79% EV for under 12.5 assists. You should run to take that. There are 2 bets that we showed you guys a few minutes ago. AJ Johnson, under 5.5 assists, 29.6% EV on Underdog. The lower on there. That's a lot of EV on Underdog. It's 4.5 everywhere else. It feels like a lot of EV for a 5.5 assist line. AJ Johnson's going to play, but Jordan Poole being out there doesn't help. So I can live with that. A lot of EV, if nothing else. Campaign, 20.8% EV on PrizePicks, under 3.5 assists for him. The minutes have not been great with Jalen Brunson out. They're probably not going to get great tonight either. So you can take that one pretty comfortably with him being projected for only 13.5 minutes. Montes Buzelis, under 1.5 assists, looks good as a lower on Underdog's Pick'ems. 19.7% EV, but not playable anywhere else. Colin Sexton, over 3.5 assists, a high total for Utah today. Not a surprise given that they're going against Washington, but for Sexton taking overs on anything for him, I'd be okay with. But over 3.5 assists for him, 16.5% EV on DraftKings at minus 105 odds. A little bit less good in the pick'em sites, but playable everywhere. For our first Grand Slam, I believe, for Colin Sexton, over 3.5 assists, meaning you can play him on your pick'em sites, DraftKings, and FanDuel, all your sports books that matter, or your primary ones. Obviously, there's a lot more on Unabated, but we only show you the primary ones here. Bismack Biyombo, under 1.5 assists, minus 188 odds. That is so much juice. 15.1% EV for Bismack Biyombo to get 1 assist or less. Under 1.5 would be the better way to say that. And Julian Champagnie, 14.9% EV for over 1.5 assists, and minus 110 odds on DraftKings. Playable as well in PrizePicks. We're getting 11% EV on over 1.5 assists there for Julian Champagnie, the lesser Champagnie. Looking okay in the betting markets. And last but not least, our PRA's bets. Grady Dick pouring. Oh, no. I should honestly start the Stokastic sim at the same time just so we can make better time here and make sure you guys see everything because I got to go to the deeper dive. Go do the deeper dive on Stokastic's channel in a moment, but I'm going to run this sim at the same time. All right. Let's say Austin Reeves had value on both sides. That doesn't happen too often either. Honestly, weird bets today. I hope that some of you guys got those Underdog bets and that wasn't just like a weird data error because that's the most EV I think we've had besides other incorrect bets that have been put on the various platforms earlier in the year. All right, so Dalton Connect, you get EV on both sides. EV on the over on PrizePicks over 13 here. EV on under 19.5 on Underdog for PRAs for Dalton Connect. That bet shouldn't exist. 49.4% EV shouldn't exist. So take that bet, add it to your list of underdog lines that might be wildly mispriced today. Kyle Filipowski, they're too busy trying to figure out my deal to get I hope. Kyle Filipowski, 34.3% EV, under 26.5 PRAs for him. With Walker Kessler in, his outlay gets a little bit worse, and that line seems mispriced on Underdog, where it's 22 everywhere else. Underdog is at 26.5, so take the lower there. Anthony Black, under 12.5 PRAs, 24.4% EV for you on PrizePicks, 13.6% on DraftKings, under 11.5 on there for Anthony Black unders on PRAs. Isaiah Collier under 23.5 PRA is looking best on Underdog, where the line is again a little bit mispriced, not as much as some of the others. Still playable on PrizePicks, DraftKings, and FanDuel. So grand slam for Isaiah Collier under 23.5 PRAs or 22.5 on some of the places we got here. Matas Buzelis, 17.8% EV for the lower on 17.5 PRAs for him on Underdog. 6.8% EV for PrizePicks is lower as well on 16.5 PRAs. So Buzelis unders looking good. Tristan Vukcevic under 22 PRAs on PrizePicks looks good at 15.3% EV. He shouldn't be playing that many minutes because they have two other centers who are active, but with what Washington's doing, who fucking knows? I would love him to play. I would like to know in advance he's going to play a lot of minutes would be my ideal. And Bismack Biyombo, under 10.5 PRAs, plus 100 odds on DraftKings is your best bet with 14.5% EV. But you're also getting 5.8% EV on PrizePicks and Underdog, your pick'em site. So go check that out. Unabated, 20% off. You guys know the deal. Do check them out. They've been a great partner to this show. Helped me get this channel off the ground, and I'd love it if they came back for more. So if you guys do support the channel, want to see more of what I'm doing here, check it Unabated. Get 20% off. Same thing would also apply for Stokastic. They don't have any real promo codes going for their stuff, but I have one every day here. Promo code SPLASH, link down below, link in the description. 15% off all their data, all their tools, and you get that 15% off in perpetuity. Even better than that, they give me then half the money that you'd be paying them. So it's a win-win. You get to stick it to Big Stokastic. You get to support Team Spags here, but also you get yourself better products for cheap, and that's really one of the goals as well. Use Unabated, use Stokastic. If you're struggling in this process here, these products, they will be things that help you get better at it, especially, if you're approaching things the right way. And here's our sim, Stokastic data updated 448. Looks like the ownership updated a little bit before that. They probably need to do another run there. But we will get just their data here. My data not impacting this. You saw what my data thinks before, and now I'll see what their updated data, updated data. God, Jesus Christ, updated data. That's an awful phraseology. What their new data says right now. Updated data. Kill me. Sometimes these phrases come out of my mouth, and with how fast I talk, it's like, what? Those aren't two words that should go together. Najee Marshall and PJ Watson projections just spiked. Did somebody get ruled out for Dallas? Not why they should. I've got Dallas's rates goosed as can be, and they didn't spike for me. Oh, Cam Johnson out for tomorrow. Oh, good. Cam Johnson out tomorrow. Keep an eye out for that. All right. Stokastic's top lineups. I'm going to head over to the deeper dive. Let's go fast here. Luka Doncic, Isaiah Joe, Colby Jones, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, Austin Reeves, Kenrich Williams, and Tristan Vukcevic. Wow. Why is he? Okay, he's coming up a lot here, huh? Number 2, AJ Johnson, Mikal Bridges, Aaron Wiggins, Zion Williamson, Isaiah Hartenstein, Luka Doncic, Kenrich Williams, and Vukcevic again. Number 3, Kason Wallace, Mikal Bridges, Aaron Wiggins, Paolo Banchero, Hartenstein, Scottie Pippen Jr., Holmgren and Klingon. I like the Hartenstein part. A little bit confused by all the Vukcevic. Kason Wallace, Anthony Edwards, Zion, Kenrich Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jared Butler, Chet Holmgren, Tristan Vukcevic again, Kason Wallace again, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Chet Holmgren. So a lot of thunder. So I'm on board with that. Tristan Vukcevic again, Luke Kennard, Denny Avdia, and Nikola Jokic. Top ROI guys, Colby Jones, the nobody player for the Wizards. Doesn't do a whole lot. Shown nothing, but the minutes coming up from no Keyshawn George is getting him in here. Banchero, I'm not going to have time for that, Jake. Sorry. We got Banchero. I got to get it. I'm supposed to be in the StreamYard at 4:55, so I'm already behind schedule. Banchero, Zion, Doncic, Kason Wallace, Vukcevic, and Isaiah Joe. Your highest ROI guys, according to Stokastic, they're top 150. Your top exposed players, Aaron Wiggins, 83%, Doncic, 70, Vukcevic, 63. That's so much Vukcevic. Kason Wallace, 59, AJ Johnson, 57, so still a lot of him. Kenrich Williams, 53, Holmgren, 41. They must be trying to account for Washington tanking right now, would be my guess. Luka, 33% more in the field. Wiggins, 30%. Kason, 26%. Vukcevic, 22% more. Kenrich Williams, 14%. Joe, 13. Paolo, 11. And your anti-leverage guys, Durant, Booker, they want you to get less of these guys. Durant, Booker, Ryan Dunn, Cade Cunningham, Tyus Jones, Samani Kamara, and Towns. Towns, man, that's sad. Anyway, those are your anti-splash plays for the day. I'll give you guys my splash plays in a moment. Real fast, one last run. Stokastic, 15% off. Check it out. Unabated, 20% off. Do check it out as well. Both linked down below in the description. They both support the show and support you getting better at what we're trying to do here every day. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, even when I have to talk even faster than normal because of how badly I pace my shows. Still will be here doing the work here every day, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. That is a promise here. I put more fucking work in this shit than I think anybody else I know, and that is what I will continue to do here, seemingly for fucking forever. Gamble responsibly, guys. Even though it is always money time here, follow me out, Chris Spags. Check me out on Stokastic in a few minutes. Deeper dive with Josh Engelman, and I'll see you guys again soon. So enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye. Smooches. Mwah.